Hello dear students, I am Pinaz Kavrana. Welcome back to Civics chapter number 1, the Indian Constitution part 2. In the previous video we saw what a constitution is. We also understood why democratic countries require to have a constitution, and we saw some of the purposes of the constitution. In today's video we'll be learning about the 5 key features of the constitution, that is the second part of your chapter and the final part. On the screens you can see the 5 features of the constitution given to you, that is federalism, separation of powers, secularism, parliamentary form of government, and fundamental rights. This also gives rise to a question, that is, what are the key features of a constitution, to which you can write these points as your answer, a quick and short one. First, federalism. Second, separation of powers. Secularism, third. Fourth is parliamentary form of government, and fifth as the fundamental rights. Let's move on to the reading part. In the first part we'll be seeing that during the Indian national movements, we had Indian nationalists who had been constantly thinking and pondering about how free India should be. Now we all know these people were constantly going through slavery. They were constantly following or obeying rules and regulations or laws that were made by the Britishers. So of course they wanted that when India gets free, they wanted India to be actually free. They wanted the people of the country to be free from all the slavery. They wanted the people of the India to participate in choosing their leaders. They wanted the people of the India to have some basic rights and many such things. So these people, they were constantly thinking about how free India should be, and when they came across all these thoughts, they decided that India should definitely be a democratic country after independence. Now, as we saw earlier that all democratic countries are definitely going to have a constitution for it to decide how the country should be running. So it was decided that a constitution will be made for India also. Now, as we all know that making a constitution for a country is not as easy as making notes. That is why this making of the constitution took 3 years to be completed. Firstly, a constituent assembly was formed. It consisted of 300 members from all across the country who were highly educated. It was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Under his supervision, the constitution of the country was made. Okay. Now, making of the constitution, deciding was very easy, but the making was very difficult because these members of the constituent assembly, they faced a lot of struggles and challenges also. The first challenge and the foremost challenge was that these people, they wanted to maintain unity in diversity. Now, when I say this, we all understand the first and the basic thing, and that is India is a diverse country. We have a lot of religions, we have a lot of cultures, linguistic groups, and whatnot. So, India is basically a diverse country. Now, the first concept that was there in the minds of these members of the Constituent Assembly was that everybody should feel that they are important. Not a single person in the country or not a single religion in the country should feel as if they were not being paid any attention or importance. Okay, this was the first perspective that the Constituent Assembly, members of the Constituent Assembly, were working towards. And so they wanted to maintain diversity amongst the they wanted to maintain unity amongst the diversity. I'm sorry. Okay. Second, the socio-economic condition of the country was not very stable. That was again a problem. These people now had to think not only about the diversity, but they also had to think about the poor people, the socio-economic condition of the people, and they wanted to make a constitution in a way in which those kind of people whose socio-economic condition are not stable are also having their role or importance in the working on of the country. Then the princely states, were also not sure about their futures, that whether they wanted to stay with us, stay with the country, or they wanted a separate country, like the Pakistan was already demanding separation. Okay, so these were some of the challenges that the members of the Constituent Assembly were constantly facing while making the constitution. This took them 3 years to complete the constitution. Finally, after 3 years, they came up with a constitution which consisted of some basic features, some basic principles. Now, the only motive behind these features was to improve the socio-economic condition of the country. Second, to eradicate poverty from the country. Third, to maintain diversity. These were the main motives behind all the features of the country. So, we'll begin with the key features of the constitution. The first one being federalism. Now, when I talk about federalism, you need to understand that federalism is a type of a government where there is not just one level of government. There are 3 tiers of government. The first is the central government, second is the state government, and the third is the Panchayati Raj. Okay, we'll understand all the three. First, state government. The state government is the supreme power of the country. It makes all the major decisions that benefits the state, that is about the state. It, for example, the defense decisions, the decisions regarding the defense system, defense working of our country is obviously taken by the central government. Now, second is state government. State government takes decisions or works for matters that concern the state. For example, the infrastructure of the state, the health and education system of the state, and many more decisions like this. Then is the Panchayati Raj, which is only in charge of some of the villages or districts, smaller groups. Okay. Further, you can understand, you should know that in federalism, all of these tiers, they have separate powers. They have separate powers. Like the Panchayati Raj will only be working about for its area, the state will always be working only for the state, and the central will be working for the whole country. Now, Panchayati Raj, second thing you should understand is Panchayati Raj cannot interfere in the matters of the state. State cannot interfere in the matters of the central government, but the central government can at any point of time decide or take up decision for the whole country, which both the other tiers are bound to follow. Okay, so this was federalism, where all the 3 tiers of the government, that is central, state, and Panchayati Raj, have separate powers. They look after their particular fields. They cannot interfere, of course, but they can always have a check on each other so that the balance is maintained and so that it is seen that nobody misuses their powers. So, this was the first key feature given in the constitution, that the country will be following federalism form of government, that is, it is going to have 3 tiers of government: the central, the state, and the Panchayati Raj. Okay. Now, from this first part, we can get this question, that is, discuss the struggles and challenges faced by the nationalists, to which you can have this answer. I will read out. During the freedom struggle, the nationalists had devoted a great deal of time to imagining and planning what free India would be like. Second, the long experience of authoritarian rule under the colonial state convinced Indians that free India should be a democracy where everyone should be treated equally. Third, the country was made up of several different communities who spoke different languages, belonged to different religions, and had distinct cultures. When the constitution was being written, India was going through a considerable turmoil. The partition was imminent. The princely states were not sure about their future, and the socio-economic condition of the country appeared dismal. They rose to the occasion and gave this country a visionary document that reflects respect for maintaining diversity while preserving national unity. Okay, moving on. We have the second key feature, that is parliamentary form of government. Now, what is a parliamentary form of government? The parliamentary form of government is a type of a government where the people are responsible for electing their representatives. Okay, this is what we all are aware of. We are all are having the rights of going and voting for the representatives that we want to see as our leaders. If you have crossed the age of 18, you can always go and give your votes. Nobody can stop you from that. As we had seen earlier also, that while these members of the Constituent Assembly were making the constitution, they wanted that the people of India should have the rights to choose their leaders for themselves. So in the constitution they put up this key feature of parliamentary form of government, where the people will have the right to vote and the people will have the right to select their representatives or the leaders. Now, when people are selecting their leaders or representatives, of course, the representatives should also see that they never misuse their power, or else they can be terminated from their post. The constitution has certain points regarding this also. It is clearly mentioned that no leader can ever misuse their power. The rules and regulations or laws of the country remains the same for the leaders also. For example, if they are misusing their powers or doing any ill practices, they can also be penalized, or some actions can also be taken on them. Third, these leaders are always going to be accountable to the people. This means that whatever decisions these leaders are taking, or whatever things these leaders are doing or thinking about the future, they are always accountable, means they are always answerable. If you want to know anything, they are bound to answer you, give you a proper and a correct answer, because you are the ones who have selected these leaders, and so they are always and always going to be accountable to you. And this is also mentioned very clearly in the Constitution of India. Third, the constitution the third key feature is separation of powers. Separation of powers, here we'll understand, according to the separation of powers, there are in the constitution there are three organs of the government. The three organs are legislature, executive and judiciary, where legislature is the elected representatives, executive is the smaller group of people who are responsible for implementing laws and running the government. Judiciary, we all know, is the system of court. Here in this key feature, it is also mentioned very clearly that each of these organs have separate powers. Now, each of these organs can also have a check on each other, so that the balance of power is maintained and nobody is practicing their rights in a wrong way. Okay. This also gets us to a question. Explain separation of powers. I'll read out the answer to you. According to the constitution, there are three organs of the government. They are legislature, the executive and the judiciary. The legislature refers to our elected representatives. The executive is a smaller group of people who are responsible for implementing laws and running the government. Next, the judiciary refers to the system of courts in the country. Next, to prevent misuse of power, each of these should exercise different and separate powers. Each organ acts as a check on the other organ of the government, and this ensures the balance of power between all the three. So these were the 6 points. Fourth key feature is the fundamental rights. When I talk about fundamental rights, these are the certain fundamental rights. Six fundamental rights are been given to you in the constitution. We'll be understanding about fundamental rights in many more chapters after this. The basic six features that you get, the basic six fundamental rights that you get is the right to equality, the right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. Okay, this can also be a question. What are the key features of the constitution, where you will be writing all these points? The first point being right to equality. Right to equality is where all the people of the country or citizens of the country are always equal before the law. For example, even if I am committing a crime or some rich person is committing a crime, we are all equal in front of the law, and thus the courts can take similar action for both of us for same type of crime. Nobody is more important and nobody is lesser important. We are all equal before the law. The second is the right to freedom. In right to freedom, we understand that everybody, being a citizen of the country, has got the right to speak whatever they want to, right to express their views. From here you can understand that wherever you want to go, you can definitely go. There is nobody who will stop you. Whatever you want to speak, you have all the rights to speak and express yourself. Nobody can ask you to shut up and not speak a word against anyone. Third, we have the right against exploitation. If at any point of time you are feeling that you are being exploited in any way, you always have the doors of the court open for you, where you can go and file a complaint, and of course you will get justice. So this was the third right. Next is the right to freedom of religion. Being a citizen of the country, being a citizen of India, you have all the rights to select any religion that you want to follow. Nobody will ever impose on you that you ought to follow Hinduism or Muslim or whatsoever. You have all the rights to follow whatever religion you want to follow. Next is cultural and educational rights. When I talk about cultural and educational rights, this is to be understood that being a citizen of the country, you have the rights to have at least primary education for free if you are poor. Okay, in cultural rights you can understand that if, for example, if you want to follow Hinduism, you want to learn about Hinduism, okay, and you're a Christian, you want to learn about Hinduism, you can always have tutorials, or you can always have some gurus and learn or practice any religion. Okay, that is your cultural freedom. Next is right to constitutional remedy. This allows the citizens to move to the court if they believe that any of their fundamental rights have been violated. Now, if you are not getting any of the fundamental rights mentioned above, you have the right to go to the court and complain and get yourself some justice. So this is your constitutional right. Fifth is secularism. Now, secularism is, we have discussed this earlier also. Secularism is what? That in the constitution of the country, it is clearly mentioned that India is going to be a secular country, which means that any citizen of the country will not be forced to follow any one religion. Okay, for example, the country at no point of time can say that this is a Hindu country and everybody has to follow Hinduism. No, you can follow Christianism, you can Christianity, or you can follow Hinduism or Buddhism, whatever religion you want to follow, you are always allowed to follow. The country is never going to impose any one religion on you to be followed. So that is being secular, and that is secularism. Let us simply recall federalism. In federalism, we saw that we have three tiers of government. First one being the central government, that is Delhi. Then we have the state governments, and then we have, in each state we have Panchayati Raj. that consist of smaller districts. Then we have parliamentary form of government. It means that people have the rights to vote and select the leaders for themselves. Then we have separation of power, where we have three organs, and that is legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Fourth, we have fundamental rights. We have already seen the 5 fundamental rights that we get. That is a part of question. Mention the fundamental rights as given in the Constitution of India, where you will be quickly writing all the 6 points: equality, freedom, no exploitation, religious freedom, cultural and education right, constitutional remedies. Last is secularism, where we see that the country people can follow any religion they want to. They'll never be forced to follow a particular religion. So with this we are done with the chapter. We have understood the key features of the constitution. I hope all of these points are very clear.